Oh, hi. Peter MacDonald. I'm a bit sooty. I locked myself out today and thought I'd get in the same way someone special does on Christmas Eve. You know, it's not that easy. I mean, Santa, what a professional. How does he keep that beard so white? Maybe I'll find out if I read more from The House of Wooden Santas by Kevin Major. 11 days to Christmas. Nothing's impossible, Jonathan said after the school that day. They were standing on top of a snowbank, looking down on a sheet of water turning into a sheet of ice. You thought this would be impossible, didn't you? He said to Jessie. Well, tomorrow we skate. And then the next day we fly, exclaimed Jessie, like Santa. I don't think so. They plopped down on the snowbank. Neither of them said a word for a long time. Maybe if we went to her house and... Jonathan couldn't think of anything else. Maybe if we phoned her or wrote her a letter, said Jessie. What would we say? That she can't do this. We got rights. That nobody can be that mean. The more Jessie thought about it, the more he figured it would never work. They dragged themselves into Jonathan's house. So down in the mouth, said Jonathan's father when they had gotten rid of their winter clothes and sunk into the living room sofa. Jessie couldn't tell whether he was being funny or serious. There was an odd kind of shyness in the way he was looking at them. Got something to show you, he said. The boys followed him through a back door to the garage. Standing on an old table surrounded by wood chips was a carving. The boys looked at it, then each other. The carving was bigger and rougher than anything Jessie's mum would have done, and it wasn't painted, but there was no mistaking what it was. He's us, Jonathan said. It was the carving of a shepherd boy carrying a staff. He looked like Jonathan or Jessie on the night of the concert. Maybe I'll try another one, his father said, and have a pair of them. Think I should? It was the first time Jessie had ever seen Jonathan's father pleased with himself. Cool, Jonathan said. Wondrous, Jessie said. The other two laughed. I gotta tell Mom, said Jonathan. She'll go nuts. And your mother. Before long, he was back, dragging both of them from Reverend Agnew's office. Wow! It is good. I mean it, said Jessie's mom. He never told me a thing, said Reverend Agnew. I suspected he was up to something, but I wouldn't dare ask what it was. He's going to do another one, Jonathan announced proudly. Jessie's mom clenched a fist. Terrific. When Jessie and his mom left for home, she was sounding cheerier than she had all day. Got to look on the bright side, she said, pulling into the driveway. As she unlocked the front door, the telephone rang. She kicked off her boots and scurried to it, calling back, could be worse, you know. Jessie crashed on the living room sofa. The Christmas decorations seemed to hang limp. What would be the fun of Christmas if right after it they would have to pack everything and take off and never ever see this place again? His mother walked into the living room and stood over him. Her arms were folded and her lips were tight together. Her eyes widened. It is worse, she said. Jessie sat up and she sat next to him. That was the craft shop. She put an arm around his shoulder. They thought they had sold 2 of my Santas. Jessie's head fell against his mother. A man bought one, then returned it for a refund. His wife didn't like it. Wants something with red velvet and lace. Puke, Jessie said. Wasn't fancy enough for her furniture. Gross. Someone else put one on hold. Never showed up again. What a dummy. His mother built a fire in the fireplace. They ate pizza in front of it and listened to Christmas music. There's no need to worry, she insisted. Jesse laid on the sofa and slowly sank into a daydream world of other Christmases. His mother covered him with a quilt. Later that evening, through heavy eyelids, he saw his mother bring in a figure and put him on the mantel. Santa sat with legs hanging over the edge, his ankles crossed. Jesse's mother sat on the floor beside the sofa. She whispered, "In the house of wooden Santas sit Santas of times past. He's our memory of better days, when we knew for sure what each Christmas would bring." Jesse heard faint strains of his mother's voice, soft verses of a song, the one about a white Christmas. Later, the doorbell rang. It broke Jesse's sleep. He heard the voice of his teacher. He did not move. He opened one eye from time to time. "Sorry if I startled you," Jesse heard him say. "You didn't really, Mr. O'Donnell," answered his mother. "Keith," he said. "I belong to a local service club. We do what we can this time of year for those families that might use a little help. We're distributing some Christmas hampers. Thought you and Jesse might like one." "Oh, no, thank you. It's just people helping each other, quietly doing what we can. I would prefer we pay our own way, Mr. O'Donnell." "Keith, I understand. It's just that Christmas can be an expensive time for a lot of people. It's just to ease the load a bit." Jesse heard the crunch of snow. A long time passed without a sound. Jesse heard the crunch of snow again. He saw Mr. O'Donnell walk down the hallway, a heavy box in his hand. There was a thud on the kitchen floor. "Would you like a coffee?" his mother said. "I'd love one." Jesse could hear their voices in the kitchen. His teacher talked about his work. Jesse's mother talked about hers. "I'd love to see one of the Santas, if you wouldn't mind." His mother tiptoed into the living room. Jesse shut both his eyes. He opened one again as she was leaving. She had Santa in her hand. "Gee," Mr. O'Donnell said, "and it's all carved by hand? Machines that can do this work are a little hard to come by." "Sorry." "That's okay." "It's wonderful. Thank you. How much would you charge? You mean, are they expensive?" She told him the price. There was a pause in the conversation. "A lot of work involved, as you can see." "Of course." Another pause. Then Jesse heard the crumple of newspapers. He saw Mr. O'Donnell pass the hallway carrying a shoebox. Saw his mother standing there, waiting for Mr. O'Donnell to leave. Saw in her hand a clump of money. Until next time.